We now know Gates is released on personal recognizance. Manafort is released under a high-intensity supervision program, which may include him wearing an electronic monitoring device. Remarkable on its own terms, just to have the sitting president's campaign manager in that situation, right? But it's remarkable in a smaller way because Gates and Manafort have worked together for years and years and years. They've just been indicted together in a 12-count felony indictment, but they're not necessarily handling their legal jeopardy in the same way. Here's something to know about these guys. At his indictment yesterday morning, Rick Gates does not appear to have had a lawyer. He was not represented by counsel. Just in case you were wondering if this indictment had come as a surprise, we expect that Rick Gates will be represented by a lawyer when he has to turn up in court on Thursday, but when he was indicted, he was alone. Here's something else we have learned tonight as well. The president today did his best to downplay the role and importance of the Trump campaign official, whose guilty plea was also unsealed by the special counsel in the court yesterday. Although the president himself had unveiled George Papadopoulos as a foreign advisor to the campaign at a meeting with the Washington Post last year, today the president derided Papadopoulos as a, quote, young, low-level volunteer who few people knew. That distancing strategy is something we've seen repeatedly from the president. It's about to be tested in this case. Whether or not George Papadopoulos was himself an important figure on the campaign, the documents unsealed by the court appear to show him reporting to senior campaign officials frequently about his ongoing interactions with Russians during the campaign. The documents that Mueller's team have appear to show Trump campaign officials encouraging George Papadopoulos to keep up those contacts with Russians. Well, tonight, NBC News reports that the person who's described as George Papadopoulos' campaign supervisor, a man named Sam Clovis, who was a national co-chair of the Trump campaign, the chief policy advisor to the Trump campaign, Sam Clovis, last week met with Robert Mueller's investigators. And NBC News reports tonight that Sam Clovis has also testified to the grand jury in this investigation. So if the Trump White House decides they want to keep distancing themselves from people who have turned up in the Russia investigation, distancing themselves from Sam Clovis is going to be particularly difficult, given not only that he was a national co-chair of the campaign, but also that they have nominated him to a senior position at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, for which Sam Clovis is supposed to face Senate confirmation next week, which is probably going to be very, very awkward now. Joining us now is Joyce Vance. She's former U.S. Attorney for the great state of Alabama. Ms. Vance, thank you very much for being with us. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, Rachel.
So, reading this document tonight that was unsealed by the court, this is a representation. First, there's the warrant, then there's the terms of confinement under which Gates and Manafort were released. But then there's this 17-page document from the special counsel's office in which they make the case that they believe that these terms of release are warranted, that Gates and Manafort both represent a flight risk. Is it surprising that the special counsel makes a whole bunch of new allegations and representations of fact in that filing?
So at this stage in a case, the government can ask the court to detain defendants pending trial. They didn't do that here, noting that the case law didn't support it because they're American citizens. But Mueller's prosecutors do make a full court press in an effort to put sufficient conditions upon the release to ensure that the defendants will show up at trial. It's not an unusual type of approach for prosecutors to take, but the information in this document, I think you did a great layout. You probably could have convinced a federal judge to impose these conditions the way you went through the information in the opening. The specific facts are really remarkable, including the new news that Paul Manafort had 3 different passports with 3 different numbers, that he was using a phone that he obtained in an alias name for foreign travel. This is a real effort by Andrew Weissman and the other lawyers on this team to tell the judge that without monitoring and other significant steps, they fear that these defendants will flee the country before trial.
I was struck. I read these documents in the order in which they came out. So I read the arrest warrant first, and then the terms of release, and then I read the government's argument about it. I was surprised at first that there were different terms of release for Gates and Manafort. Manafort appears to be subject to more intensive monitoring, including what appears to be an electronic device of some kind. By the time I got to the end of the government's case, though, I was surprised that they'd released Manafort at all, given what they say about his means and motive to flee, to get away from this prosecution.
It is a little bit surprising, but because the case law talks in terms of citizenship in assessing flight risk, Manafort has significant ties to this community. The government apparently felt certain that it could obtain his presence with these conditions. It's hard to tell if it is in fact an ankle bracelet monitoring system, and there's some different technology involved, but typically these bracelets send a signal to a phone so that the probation officer is aware simultaneously if you get a little bit too far away from the telephone system in your home. And apparently they felt like they had the capability to monitor that system and assure that he didn't leave his home, flee the country.
Just remarkable that we're talking in these terms about the sitting president's campaign chairman. Joyce Vance, former U.S. attorney from Alabama, thank you very much for helping us understand these new documents tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
What powers the digital world? Communication. That's why a cutting-edge university counts on CenturyLink to keep their global campus connected. And why a pro football team chose us to deliver fiber-enabled broadband to more than 65,000 fans. And why a leading car brand counts on us to keep their dealer network streamlined and nimble. Businesses count on communication, and communication counts on CenturyLink. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Okay, folks, let's get the lady of the house back on her feet and help her feel more strength and energy in just 2 weeks.
The complete balanced nutrition of Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. Ensure, always be you.
Like Copperfit before, you're going to love the new Pro.
Introducing the next generation in Copperfit compression garments, Copperfit Pro.
I think the Copperfit Pro is for everybody. They will love this product.
With Copperfit Pro, my mobility has improved tremendously. I'm quicker on the court.
High performance copper infused compression, woven with targeted kinesiology technology to aid in faster recovery and performance and guaranteed relief of muscle aches and pains.
What I discovered immediately, the aches and pains diminished. The Copperfit Pro is amazing.
Call 1-800-716-3803 or on the web at copperfitpro.com. Get your elbow or knee sleeve for only $19.99. Order right now and your shipping is free.
Doesn't matter what you do, just take it to the next level with Copperfit Pro.
Feel the power of Copperfit compression. Live limitless.
There's an exotic place where you can swim in the sky, where all the pleasures of a 5-star luxury vacation are all included. Sandals Grenada. Experience the sandals of tomorrow today. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
A new leader has emerged. Not going to tell us how to run the state of Georgia.
This damn civil rights issue.
What are we waiting for? This will define your presidency.
I can only hope.
LBJ, rated R, this Friday.
Movie. Third word, stirring, stop mixing things.
Is it My Idiot Friend Got Satellite TV that cut out in the rain right in the middle of a game?
I think what you're thinking of is bitter little man who doesn't know how to make the best of a bad situation.
You guys are really good at this game. I haven't heard of any of these movies.
I mean, is there a brain in there, or is it just all horn?
I don't know. I've never seen it inside my head, so.
And there's our answer.
TV that can cut out in the rain is evil.
Do a sound slide.
Spectrum is reliable. Satellite TV, bad. Spectrum, good.
Imagine your life as an HVAC technician, installing and repairing heating, refrigeration, and AC systems. Almost all buildings have them, and that means opportunity and stable work for those with solid HVAC skills. A Fortis education can make it happen for you and your family. Start your career in the skilled trades today by calling Fortis at 1-800-700-9111 or visit fortis.edu.
We do not yet have the names of the 8 people who were killed and the 11 more who were seriously injured in the apparent terror attack today in New York City. We don't have a timeline for getting those names either. But we are beginning to get some general information about the victims. Because of the location of this attack and how that bike path is typically used, there were worries early on that some of the people killed and hurt would end up being tourists or at least visitors from abroad. Those worries are now bearing out. The Foreign Minister of Belgium tonight says he is saddened to announce that one Belgian was among the 11 people killed, among the 8 people killed. He says another 3 people from Belgium were among the injured. We're also now seeing unconfirmed media reports from Argentina that 4 people from Argentina were killed in today's attack. Again, those unconfirmed reports, but they're from Argentinian media. Because this is New York, though, part of the citizen response has been to get out there and carry on. There's extra police and security in place, but the annual huge hundreds of thousands